Sorry, I've just gone live by accident.
Well, fair enough, we start. Well, thank you for coming to tonight's planning meeting.
It's finance.
Thank you for coming to tonight's finance meeting. All right,
Get up and walk out.
shall I start again? Thank you for coming to tonight's finance meeting. Thank you for correcting me as well. Let's crack on and let's get this out of the way as quickly as we can before I make any more mistakes. Apologies for absence. We've got apologies from.
I've had apologies from Jerry.
Councillor Davis, we think we might have.
Yeah, I thought he probably wasn't coming, and I'm not quite sure about David. I haven't found anything that said he's on holiday.
Okay. Were you happy to accept the
Yeah.
apologies? Fair enough then. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest on any of the items? Of course, if there are, we suddenly remember them, we can raise them near at the time. Representation from interested parties.
Yes.
Yeah. Jenny, do you want to do it now?
Yeah, I'll do it now. Yeah. So, Amber Baptist Church have applied for a grant. I've got basically a kind of statement that they've given me. I'm going to read it. Amber Baptist Church has set up a wraparound support group for host families who have generously opened up their homes in Amber and the surrounding area and for their guests from Ukraine. We are aware of half a dozen families with children who have already arrived and are in local schools, and we expect numbers of guests to increase exponentially in the coming months as visa blockages ease. There are host families in Oundle and in several surrounding villages, including, I think it's Suffolk, is it Southwick? Suffolk. A church and Wavenhoe. We've only just announced that we are planning, we've only just announced what we are planning to do, and expect calls on our assistance to grow as people become aware of us. We will be offering weekly opportunity to meet over free coffee, tea, cake and biscuits, initially at number 1 St Osoph Lane. This will initially be for hosting guests, although as numbers grow, we anticipate that we may run 2 separate groups. We will be able to signpost hosts and guests to sources of information and assistance, including with translation and benefits. No associated costs requested. This will be met by OBC. English conversion support. We have found a Ukrainian teacher of English, but you need teaching resources. We need to purchase EAL, English as an additional language resources. These cost just under £40 each for the 3 books in the course, and there are children's resources as well. Copyable. We hope the library will help with this. Assistance with set-up costs. Many host families in the county report being hundreds or even thousands out of pocket because of travel costs and need to buy furniture to prepare for their guests. One recent example where we have been asked to help was for a day bed with a pull-out second bed so that a mother and her daughter could sleep in the same room as the daughter is afraid to sleep alone. We request £750 to enable us to assist host families with set-up costs. Clothes and shoes. Most guests are arriving little or nothing and need help with clothes and shoes, in particular with costs greatly exceeding the £200 emergency funds to which they are entitled. Delays in receiving universal credit exacerbate the issue. We've been asked for help with costs for shoes and clothing. These should ideally be new. We request a fund of £750 to enable us to provide emergency assistance for clothing and shoes. Further anticipated needs. Storage, this is the big one really, but this is more long term. Storage for second-hand furniture donations. At the moment we can't accept any because we have nowhere to put them. Bikes. Good second-hand bikes would give the level of independence to our guests and make them less reliant on their hosts. Laptops, we anticipate that families will need access to reconditioned laptops to access services and information. Social events. We would love to host social events like picnics, hog roasts, music evenings, and so on. Our aim is to reduce the sense of isolation for our guests from Ukraine and to prevent host families from being overwhelmed. We see this as a long-term project. Guests are here for at least 3 years and will need help to settle and integrate into our community. We have limited resources, but we'll provide all we can, particularly in terms of volunteers. We welcome the opportunity to work alongside Hamlet Town Council and respectfully request a grant towards our costs. The more we can raise through grants alongside our own internal donations, the more we can help both more people and more in terms of practical assistance. We believe the Hamlet community is a welcome one, and the response to our initiative has been very positive. Our aim now is for it to be as effective as possible. We would be happy to find receipts for items purchased and report to OTC on how many funds have been spent. We'll also participate in OTC's Ukraine working group to ensure that our responses are coordinated as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Jenny. Obviously, there's a grant application coming up later on the agenda. So, Rupert, Liz, do you have any questions for Jenny, or should we wait till we get down to the grant application?
Would be fair to wait.
Okay, that's fine. Liz, is that okay? Yeah. Fantastic. Right, thank you very much indeed. Consideration of requests from interested parties, nothing at all. Item 2205, minutes of the previous meeting, I have them here. Does anybody want to raise or deal with anything?
No, it's fine.
Are we happy with Simon? I'll propose that. Liz seconds it. Rupert, are you happy with Simon?
Yeah.
Good, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much. 220601, Finance and General Purposes Committee Terms of Reference, which are up there on the big screen. Any questions, queries, thoughts about them? We've got the joint meeting with the Personnel Committee is, at least one of those is in the calendar, isn't it? So that's all signed off. 2 verification councillors we have at the moment. The only question I was going to raise, which probably is necessary, it says recommend a 3-year programme to council for projects and capital expenditure. Estates are looking to extend ours, is it 3 to 5 years?
Possibly longer, yeah.
Possibly longer, but that's one of the words mirroring that at all, whether 3 years is the standard. Such things.
You do tend to put, and when you look at that budget form, you've got
For the next
next 2 years on there.
But as we should expand it to 3 to 5 rather than just 3. It's just a thought rather than anything else. If the states are
Can be very
pushing further
easy.
in.
I think the estate's one, sorry, is about organising physical resource, isn't it? So
That's fine. So no need for any change at all. Brilliant. If we review them and not change, do we need to do anything, or we just?
No, they'll just still go
Yeah.
back to full council as a whole, just that we've been reviewed and council are happy.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Item 220602, review the accounts for May. Check on this somewhere. Any questions, queries therein? No? Fair enough. I've just got a couple, if I may. Paul, I think, am I looking at the right sheet? Is that the right one? With the exciting bar graphs on?
Yeah, well, the same as the one on the left. Yeah.
We've got line or cell B24. Flatton House is 7974. The courthouse in B26 is 5526.
Yeah.
Which is just more than budget at the moment. So, do you know why?
For which one's courthouse? Is this income or expenditure?
It's expenditure. 7974 for Flatton House, and courthouse 5526.
So the actual is less than budget,
Okay.
and that's because we've got this additional £5,000 repairs and maintenance if required. So we're under budget
Sorry, I was on the higher up there.
for
Cell B24
In income,
year 24.
in the expenditure.
no, it isn't.
Expenditure. B24 Stetton household.
So yeah, that's 7974.
So Flatton, we're marginally above 72. And that's expenditure
We did those electrical checks and things. didn't we?
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be what those would be.
Yeah, against the individual.
And
Still
sometimes
does.
it's gone through for events as well,
Yeah.
as extremely. Yeah, we do have plenty in reserve for
Yeah.
repairs.
No,
and
absolutely.
20 grand.
Marvellous. Anything from anyone else?
No, at this stage now.
So we need to receive them, they're received. Job done. 220603, grant applications, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Presumably we don't want to go through them one at a time?
Definitely.
So first responders, 220603, this is one that we've had before, and then there's an email on there that I sent to Emma a while ago. I spoke to one of the first responders, Paul. We had a chat about the fact that we felt the grant application, which was sort of for 5,000, was a bit chunky. He agreed and said, basically that's their running cost for the vehicle, and what they didn't say is that any application would be great. We asked for some clarification on a couple of points which are on there, that they've been told that the ICE car, that's the internal combustion engine, the normal petrol car, sorry, that's EV talk. They've been told, so ice cream van, it will have at least one more year, so the pressure on electricity is off a little bit. At the moment, point number 3, the lease costs for the vehicle are paid by the first responders, and East Midlands pay the running costs. So while they've got a petrol car, actually East Midlands ambulance keep paying for petrol. Their problem will come when they have an electric car. East Midlands apparently won't pay for the petrol or the electricity, and the lease costs might go up. So in a way, their biggest concern is 23-24, when they know what their lease costs are, but they don't know what they are yet because they haven't been told. So that puts the pressure a little bit further down the line, but it's something we maybe need to be aware of. I'll talk about a charging point. And I also sent a document around that I'd like to put to full council next week about how Amble first responders and Amble Heartstart Amble work together, and how we can work with all two of them. But so I've suggested in there that the grant we might look at for this year could be as simple as £1,000 rather than the £5,000 that's on the grant application, as a way of helping them with their running costs. And the way they're working with Amble Heartstart might be good for all of us as well. So I don't know if that makes it clearer or less clear, or if anyone has any thoughts. Rupert, any thoughts?
No points, and it's sensible.
Yes?
So the proposal is a grant for £1,000 to the first responders.
Yeah, I've suggested in the other one that we sort of pencil in £2,000
Yeah,
for the two together.
I wasn't sure, what stage we're looking at this bit as well, so.
No, but that's the only grant application we actually have is for the first
Yeah.
responders at the moment.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I suppose I'm saying we could go with a grant of £1,000 for the first responders and sort of pencil out another one
Right.
if Heartstart find they need one, and they put that number in later in the year. But at the moment, they haven't actually put an application in. And the relationship between the two is symbiotic, but they are two separate organisations. So I thought let's do the first responders because that's actually what the paper.
Yeah. Why kind of the white one is what I've got is
Yeah, I know, that was their original
Yeah, that's why we said that's
application,
quite a lot.
but we discussed that.
Yeah, we discussed it last time or the time before.
Yeah, a little while
We had a chat, and that's sort of essentially what they think they're looking for in a couple of years' time, because that's quite chunky. So I would propose that we make a grant of £1,000 this year.
I think it's £1,000 for them to spend generally, and if they have a specific project that they want us to look at, they're welcome
Which,
to
I
reapply.
I'm
So
very
it's not
happy
the
with that.
end.
No, absolutely.
previously they've only requested 250.
Yeah, they've had so, I was amazed.
Yeah, it's amazing,
That,
isn't
yeah.
it? That's really interesting looking across that.
Yeah,
But I mean, they do an awful lot. They do the Jubilee, they do
Yeah.
food, they do all sorts of stuff. And it's interesting looking at when I was down at the pageant in Northampton. They had equivalent who had much shinier kit, but that's much less well organised. So, you know, it seems a good time, particularly because you meet a lot of people who had good experiences with first responders helping people early on. So I'm happy to propose £1,000 with effectively the caveat that it's not the end of the grant application if they have a good project elsewhere in the year.
Yeah.
Anyone happy to second that?
Yes.
Liz, you happy to?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Resolved. All in favour. June 22nd,
Oh,
04, to consider the grant application from Anvil Bowling Club. Proposed, Councillor Councillor.
How did that even start?
You must have pressed a button that does visual something or other. It's nice though, it's nice. It does. Can we just get that store greeting from now on? We could just leave the room. 220604, the Bowling Club grant. This is a grant for blackout blinds, for the many windows they have in the bowling club. And I saw them when I was down there at the Jubilee. And they let lots of light in, which is lovely. Apart from when you don't have lots of light, but then it's very good. So the request is for some blackout blinds.
And I can see their name on the grants list. Have they never applied before?
They've applied once 1,000 years ago.
Oh, right, okay. So.
Oh no, they haven't. I've had it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and it feels like we've, you know, supported every other.
They get a good deal on their rent, etc. But yeah,
Oh, right.
I mean, on the other side of the coin, I suppose they seem to have reasonably healthy income, 26,000 this year, but
And you don't pay very much rent.
and low rent. But they've made the point that they're worried about their income declining as membership from COVID hasn't come back. We have a budget of about £20,000 this year, and I suppose maybe £3,000 feels a little bit top heavy.
It does, yeah, I mean,
So
the
I'd certainly-
others then.
Be willing to make a grant, but maybe a lower grant. What would be my opinion? Rupert, do you have a Bowls Club vibe?
There's nothing to add really.
Okay,
There seems some organisation
Hmm.
who are doing a useful job.
absolutely. Liz?
Again, I feel a contribution to the cost, £3,000 does seem quite a lot. I know they say 5,500 for extra blinds, I mean, please, don't put in so many windows.
You could block some of the blinds out to make it more visible and then do some more blinds later.
Yeah.
Do we want to put a number up? Would 1,500
Yeah.
be about right? So I'll propose 1,500. So Liz, happy to go with 1,500. Ruth, are you happy with that?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you very much. And Tennis Club, 220605. This is for a disabled toilet.
I'll just turn that down, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they make a pretty convincing,
They did actually.
At the end,
It was a nicely done application, I thought.
and the other nice thing is one of our grant application themes is encouraging sport and the arts, isn't it? And accessibility. And I suppose a disabled toilet does all of those things.
So how much they're asking for? 1,000 or 2,000?
2,000.
Of 10, you know, obviously those kind of things are very expensive to put
Well,
in.
appreciate
So,
that.
yeah, still only a contribution.
Question, just thinking off the top of my head, in terms of all the clubs down there, there's the tennis club, there's the bowls club, there's the rugby club, etc. Do anything work together in terms of car parking and disabled toilet access? And,
I don't think they share toilets, but because I think they've got their own. But
Yeah.
I think they do some sharing car parking stuff.
yeah, just thinking there's a big event, a big
Yeah.
rugby match, or a big tennis event.
Certainly the bowls club and the rugby club do.
Maybe we should just,
I mean, they've got very little parking really at the tennis club.
it's better than St. Peter's Road, right? I was wondering if we could recommend that they make sure the clubs down there know they've got a disabled access toilet.
Yeah, but I would imagine
Is
that
it in the
they,
clubhouse?
I would imagine that they've all got their own already.
Okay. So are we happy with 2,000 or do you think that's, yeah? Rupert, happy? Liz?
I feel bad, just giving 1,500 to the bowls club.
Should we
I'm
make,
kind of, on the other hand, I'm kind of, I like this project better. So, don't know what the criteria for deciding that is.
I think, yeah, I mean, if they haven't already got a disabled toilet,
Yeah,
I think it's
really
quite
fair.
a good project to
Yeah.
have them fitted.
And particularly since they have a particular plan afoot to bring on wheelchair
Yeah.
toilets.
I know, yeah, lovely.
So I'm happy to propose
Yeah.
2,000.
Okay, yeah.
With a second, Ruben, are you happy with that one?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely, thanks very much.
All those.
Almond Baptist Church, we just heard Jamie's statement, they've asked for a total grant of, is it 3,000 in total? We've got the wraparound support. I know, Jamie, you've spoken to us about us supporting various Ukrainian things, and one of the issues we've had is finding a charity that we can use. There's a charity now that's asking for our help, so I suppose that's a bit of a godsending request. I suppose the only thing I thought when it's 3,000 is, do we know that they need 3,000 at the moment? And they can come again and again during the year. They can make a number of applications, can't they?
Yeah.
So is there an argument to, I suppose, ring fence a bit in our minds, but maybe make a smaller grant for this particular occasion so we know exactly what the need is? What do we think?
Well, what can Jamie tell us about the Amble Baptist Church? His assistant, the present personality running it.
I can't tell you anything about Anabaptist Church because I'm not a member of them. They contacted the council and I met up with them, their representative, Caroline. But the main, so other than what was outlined in what I read, the main issue there, I think long term is going to be storage space for things such as furniture, bikes, etc. How that is formalised, I'm not sure at the moment. I don't think they're sure at the moment. Yeah, I don't know what other information to give you other than that.
So, could you clarify that? What is your locus in relations with Amble Baptist Church?
So they, a lady called Caroline contacted the council because, they wanted to see what, if anything, the council were doing about trying to help our Ukrainian guests who are coming here. Emma, I think, forwarded it to me. I went and met Caroline. We had a good chat. They explained what they're trying to do, which is what I read out. And I thought, yeah, this is exactly what we've been looking for, really, in terms of...
It's a good vehicle for us, isn't it?
Certainly is.
I just need to suddenly think, I need to declare an interest slightly. I used to work with Caroline about 20 years ago.
Okay.
So I haven't seen her since, but I used to work with her. Do I need to not? be
I'll just put it down there.
Caroline,
No, you're
that's
fine.
Caroline Jones.
Yeah.
She's good value.
So she's been working for charity a long time. So,
The lady of Canada.
very much so. I mean, the storage thing, I suppose, sounds important, but if we don't know what the storage solution is yet, maybe we should say we commend that, but we don't pay for it yet.
Well, if she's active in running it, then I'm all for it,
Okay, excellent.
unequivocally.
My gut feeling would be, until we know a little bit more about it, it might be worth supporting it, but not going for the full 3,000. And potentially 1,500 or 2,000 would be where my head lies. Liz, you've got a sensible head. What are your thoughts? Am I being foolish or?
It's either give the whole amount, the 3,000, and ask after 6 months for them to come and report on how they spent such a substantial grant, or pay it in 2 tranches and give them 2,000 now and say, when you can put another application in with more detail of how it's been spent and how the next 1,000 would be spent, we'll have to look at it again. But I'd be happy with the 3,000 and a report back to the council of them coming in person. Like we said, with the, the football club,
Mm.
it's a large amount of money.
Yeah.
You need to show us.
Yeah, and keep that contact going.
Yeah.
Which is, Jamie's good.
Yeah. So,
Rupert, so
Yes, content.
which one of those would you go for?
Oh,
2,000 or 3,000?
Given that Carolyn Jones is a lady of calibre, very proven record, knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and would certainly not associate herself with anything uncertain. I'm inclined to propose that we allocate the 3,000.
Fair enough, Liz, you're sort of happy with that?
yeah, I'm happy with that. I understand they'll come and talk to us.
Team captains to the game show, I'll go along with that as well. So I'm happy to propose 3,000 as requested on the grant.
I think Rupert proposed
Bruce
it.
proposed it, I'll second it.
I've got.
That's fine, I'll vote for it. Everyone. Lovely, and I'm going to shut off now. Is it creative handball?
No, I've never been to one of
You
these,
have
so,
such
you
a
know.
good time, yeah.
220607, a grant application from Creative Animal. This is for the equivalent of the
Rent
grant
the marketplace,
rent.
yeah.
Had a look at our little grant policy, and we're keen on supporting anything that encourages the town of Arundel, and clearly the food festival does. Thoughts? Anyone have any strong views for or against? Rupert, you happy?
So, how much are they asking for?
700.
700.
750. Well, again, they're known quantities, firmly based. It's worth encouraging them.
I think this came off the back of something that was
From
brought to estates, wasn't
It
it?
did, yeah.
About them not charging
Yeah,
for the recreation car park.
And start supporting.
When we said make a grant application, and they have done. I think the food festival is a good thing. I suppose there's a normal caveat about saying it's not part of your income. So whether we get asked for another one next year, I suppose we can worry about that when we get there.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah. But then the States a couple of weeks ago said make a grant application, so.
Okay.
It's only us charging them the rent, so.
yeah, I know, we
It's money
charged them.
goes round
I
in
know,
circles.
I mean,
It's
it's,
circle.
I think last year we waived it, didn't we?
And the year before.
But then in the end, they didn't use the marketplace. They went down. And I think we have waived it. I think we waived it probably in 2019, because they didn't have one in 2020. did they? So I don't know. It's one of those ones whether you either just decide that we're not going to charge them.
I prefer it to go through the accounts as
yeah,
a grant
Yeah,
and charge them the rent personally.
then that's fine. This is the way. That is the way that they have done it in the past, like pre-2019.
Why do you prefer that one?
Because that, to me, is how accounts should read. You should show your income and your expenditure separately and not be netting things off
Then it might be a
within the
case
same
of,
line.
because we'll charge them rent plus VAT for the market, and then they won't get claim the VAT.
Well, she's asking for VAT as well,
Okay, yeah. So we're
because
effectively-
it's normally
cost of
£600,
themselves.
I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's normally £500 plus £500.
Is it right?
Yeah.
So we're effectively paying the VAT.
I'm in favour of waiving the rents in that way, because you want to see what those premises have as potential.
Yeah.
If I were a commercial landlord, I'd want to see what my rental potential is. And the fact that somebody, I know we're saying it's not money going round in a circle here, but if the fact that somebody else happened to have given them a grant for that,
Then we necessarily wouldn't.
I want to see what the marketplace is doing. I want to see how much we're giving in grants and not be hiding one behind another.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm just an accountant at heart. I can't help it.
We are where we are, and it's.
No, but I think that's fair. I think that's fair enough, actually.
Yeah. I
I think.
suppose the counter argument, but it's one we need to be aware of rather than being an extra argument, is if we're taking money out of this budget to pay effectively our own budget. If we did it all the time, we just need to make sure this budget's a little bit higher to allow for it. If there's anything balances
But
out.
we've agreed
Yeah,
what
and
we're going
we've
to pay in grants, so when we get to the end of that,
Yeah, and
if it's
higher
gone,
this year anyhow, so.
it's
Yeah.
gone.
It's this Saturday.
Yeah.
We've asked them to apply. I'm happy to propose that we make a grant of 700 to create a grant.
Or whatever amount Paul says, the
Says
rent
700
plus
to the
that,
bank,
Yeah.
the rent plus that,
Yeah.
happy to
Yeah.
match that.
Oh, so
Yeah.
600.
So was it 600 in total?
Yeah.
I thought it was 600.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go 600, which is right, so we're saying 100 pounds. Fantastic.
Thank goodness Paul was here.
So I've proposed it, this is seconded it, we're paying 600. Ruth, are you happy with that? Fantastic, thank you very much indeed. 220608, laptop and equipment for hub manager. Who had started this week. Welcome to her, I hope it's all going
Yes.
well.
It's amazing how many people come into the building and already know her.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I didn't know her before, but
Yeah,
people
yeah.
listening
A
to
lot
know
of people
her.
know her. Yeah.
Yeah, quite.
I had a good idea, which was rather buy a laptop, we should lease a laptop. And I've talked to people, and lots of people think it's a good idea. No one's come back to me with a price. So at the moment, that's a completely redundant option. I think it is probably worth us looking at leasing in the long term, because it means you get newer machines all the time which are updated, but until we know how much it's going to cost, we
But
can't
according
consider
to Blue Moon, they say that it's more expensive and they don't offer that service.
No, that's
They
right.
can do, but they wouldn't offer it normally because you end up paying more money.
But other sources, close to other councillors who are in the IT business, disagree. But there's no bit of paper to counter that. So at the moment, it's the only rodeo in the bookshop, or some phrase of that nature. I know it doesn't make it up on the spot. I know. Can you see through my feigned awfulness? So at the moment, we have a big green line through the Dell Vostro 3000. I put this to my IT consultant, who's young and teenager, and said, give me 5 good reasons, or one good reason why we could go with the Dell Vostro 3000 at a lower price. And he said, there is a good reason. So there we are, from the words of a teenager, don't go for the cheap computer.
Yeah.
So I said, fair enough. I took myself off and sold.
Yeah.
So his recommendation and the recommendation of Blue Moon is we go for the 573 item. I've got a spare laptop bag, so I can supply that if needed.
Well, I mean, that was just, because I just thought at the moment she's sort of office based, but she may not be.
Yeah, we want her out there.
And I don't want to sort of just carrying it around in a shopping bag.
No, that's fine.
But that's
We've
not a
got those.
priority. I'll probably just get that at some point.
But there, so the proposal is a laptop. Presumably they can get this pretty quickly.
Well, I'll speak to them tomorrow. Mine came pretty quick. I mean, she is set up on the admin desktop at the moment. So it'll just be a case of them transferring
This
over.
allows it.
Yeah. But it'll just free that one up.
So I'm happy to propose that we go with the Dell Vostro 3000, £573.
And are we agreeing that this comes out of the hub budget? We agreed an amount of money, or is it coming out of office? There must be some office
IT
or
office
IT costs.
Yeah.
Comes out of the hub budget, I think, because it's really hub based. If that's okay.
I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
At all.
It doesn't matter to me.
So I take it the hub budget standard for this year, once and for all major purchase.
Yeah, the hub budget is
Oh, well.
strong at the moment.
Obviously, the most part of it will go on, of course, on her salary, but we allowed for some other expenditure.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, there is enough.
Yep, so I'm happy to propose that.
Yeah.
In that case,
I seconded that, this was then Justin and Ruth agreed, so that's marvellous. Any other business for report only? Liz?
I would like to ask this committee if we might ask Paul to have a look at the budget that we've set in the light of the fact that inflation is already high and is not expected to come under control, particularly in this financial year. And there's already, reports of other councils finding things tough. So perhaps to go through certain lines in the budget and just say, this would be under pressure, for example, clearly. The thing that bothers me the most is not understanding the electricity and gas contracts and at what point that's going to be a problem for us. So there's that. There's anything to do with fuel in terms of the mowing contracts or how our own maintenance people are buying fuel. Just to highlight places, lines which look as if they would come under pressure given where the current inflation pressures
So
are.
stress tested.
Stress tested.
Stress tested. Electricity and gas in most places were fixed till June next year.
I only say it, it never goes from my mind, Jerry,
No.
saying that. That doesn't mean to say they won't
No, of course.
come
They
out
might
of
go
that,
bust.
but they will, yeah. And it is a shame he's not here today, because I would have wanted to ask him again to just take us through how that contract is worded. But perhaps Paul could take that on or whatever. But
Yeah.
just to have a little bit more confidence in how protected we are with that cost. And then it seems to me it's never too soon, and whether this is finance or whether it's estates, it's never too soon to think those costs are now going to be built in at these higher levels. No, nobody is talking about the cost of fuel plummeting. And the knock-on effect for us with a whole series of tenants on 5-year agreements is, when do we come under pressure that we're not being able to meet the costs of running those properties from the rents we're getting? Now, we don't have a policy currently of trying to meet the costs of running the buildings from the rent. That's not how we're working, so that's fine. But at what stage are we in those leases where, in fact, our costs will definitely rocket at some point on fuel, and we won't be in a position to review the rents? So but whether that's an estates thing or a finance thing, I don't know. I'm quite happy to bring that up.
Knowing what the numbers are and could be,
Yeah.
would be really helpful
Yeah.
for states.
It's where those things are going to, if you can foresee some things.
Oh, yeah. And some of our supplies aren't fixed, aren't they?
No.
One or two of them.
It might also be worth speaking to Berries, who managed sort of getting the tenants at the courthouse, because
yeah.
we always work on their cost per square metre, which hasn't gone up for quite some time. So I might ask them, so what have you increased?
Are you building in
yeah,
people?
yeah.
Where you're building it in.
I'm also conscious of the pressure that's likely to come on salaries. Now, I'm sure we've built in a rise this year. I don't remember. I know the overall, not the employers, but whoever's negotiating on behalf of us, effectively the employer. They do negotiate very hard to manage that. But there are increases going on all over the place, well above anything that we've probably built in. And if it doesn't come this year, does that just build up a pressure for next year? I never like looking at finances in these short periods, and anything that we can do to make ourselves aware of where those things might get difficult.
I'm sure the words wage price spiral will
Yeah.
come out from various people in the next 12 months.
The one good thing is we do have funds behind us.
Yes, I know, and Emma and I had a little conversation about this earlier, and I did say it's not that I think that this council is under financial pressure. I don't believe that for one moment. I don't believe that, but it feels you shouldn't be complacent either.
And also we know that this time next year it'll be different, and we'll be coming out of those contracts, and
Yeah.
whatever pay deal is decided or not decided will have ramifications. So we'll be having this conversation in the next 12 months, and we might as well have it early.
Yeah.
And at least work out what our plans are.
And
So the
maybe
next-
work with estates on,
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
when the
Next
lease
finance
reviews are
meeting is
and what options there are there.
next finance meeting September the 13th.
Oh, I won't be here.
Oh, sure. You can watch.
You won't be here, you will be here.
I don't think I'll be here.
You can watch. You can have the American translations. You go. Paul, I mean, presumably you'll be able to
Yes.
get some stress testing done.
Yeah.
And then we've got an estates meeting 2 weeks after that, on the 27th. So we can push it onto that agenda as well.
And
just
also
see how
between
estates
that-
might react.
Yeah, you'll have had your walkabout, checking
Absolutely.
things out, so have an idea of.
Not planning.
There are some more costs, and Lisa, I'm sure will update you at the next estates meeting with regards to the ward for the churchyard. Yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
That's where their lesson camps. The walk around today. That's what looks nice. Right, Rupert.
Thank you, thank you.
No, thank you, nothing to add.
Well, I was going to talk about fuels and stuff like that, so you're ahead of me on that, which is great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Right, there we go. 8:10. Prime Minister record. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Thank you.